Hello. I think that today we will talk about securing the SSH just because it's also important. I know that I already presented some of those configuration of the SSH previously a long time ago. However, it is not something that you should miss or you should ignore just because there are some important things that should be reconsidered. And first of all, we need to understand some steps, some change in this configuration. By default, the SSH is running on the port 22, and mostly in the companies you will not have to change the port, but because this is something that I usually do at home, I will present it on my screen. So I'm going to switch to the terminal, and now what we need to do is just to change the port configuration. So first of all, we need to make a backup of the configuration. So cd etc ssh, list all those files, and in ssh config is not something that you should touch, but instead you should touch this sshd config, the daemon. So cp sshd config to sshd config, let's say back. First of all, we cannot do that because we need a sudo privilege, so go like that, and that is all. And currently what we need to do, we need to change the port the way it is here. So first of all, I switch to root, it will be easier for me. Then I will cut, I don't know, maybe vim, I don't know, etc ssh sshd config, and inside you can see the line port 22. To make it easier, we will use the set command, set I, to replace with s, replace the, let's say, port, and it will be 09, just because something like that. It is there, and there should be a star if I remember correctly, and it will be, let's say, port 12244 or something like that, or 11, I don't know, 37, let's say 36, 37, doesn't matter at all, and something like that. And in which file? etc ssh hd config. So now we are going to check, and you can see something like that, but I don't know why it changed. That is strange. I think that it should work. Okay, I did something wrong. Port, this is correct. Let me check this. S port. Okay, here you need a space. That's the reason. Okay. Okay. So let's do this. Insert something like that. And once again, and we will see. Now it should work. Excellent. Port 1237. That is correct. Okay, so the next thing you need to do, or eventually you can check it easily by grep port, just like that, in etc ssh sshd, it should show you the port. Now we need to change the firewall configuration. By the way, this is an OpenShift etc OS release, you need to always check which system you have and what firewall it is inside the system. So system CTL status, let's say firewall D, should show that it is active. So what we need to do, we need to do this firewall CMD, add port, let's say 1337 permanently and permanent, and the zone will be public. Here we go. And why? Bad port. Okay, it must be TCP. TCP. Shortly. Small. TCP. Okay. This one TCP. Access. Firewall CMD. Reload. And firewall CMD. List all. And now you can see the network is in a public zone and we have a port 1337. So we can grab once again the port, and 1337 is here. So the port is open. Eventually, if you want to do this with the IP tables, you can do this way, just like that. IP tables are input ETH0, for example, for the interface ETH0 and TCP port and accept. How to know which port to use? With the command IPA, it shows you the interface and how to know. Actually, all above 1024, because from the port number 1 to 1024 port, those are default low ports that are in use by most of those services. So each port above this will be fine. If I remember, it's 65 kilos port, 65 something, 36534. 352. I don't remember exactly how many ports we have, but I remember that we have over 65,000 ports. So all above 1024 will be fine. And that is all. Now it is good idea to just restart the firewall service just in case. But even the reload should work, actually, what I did previously. Anyway, this is a good idea. So the next problem is what we need to do if we need a user. By default, we don't have a user, we have a root, but I already created a user, my name. And so user add name of the user, then pass w, the username, and it should change the password for this user. And what we need to do, then we need to disable root login, right? So what we have to do is to grab root, we will check something like that, and you can see there is a permit login for root. Okay, so we are going to change this value to no. Okay, so we are going to use the set I once again, and let me be s. So replace and permit root login. Yes, right. To permit root login no, and okay, and something like that. And in the file etc ssh dconfig, and if you can see permit root login is changed to no. Excellent. And you can check also something like echo allow users and my name users this way. We are going to do this because we need to allow the users that we created earlier to be able to log in via SSH. So in my case, it will be Adrian, right? Something like that. And to the file, to the end of the file, if we see SSH, SSHD, those two brackets means that we are adding this value, because the one bracket will replace everything in this file and will leave only this string, right? This value. So we don't want this, and we want to add it to this file. So if we will do grep allow users, something like that, you should see the entry allow users Adrian. Excellent. So what we need to do, actually, my users already using the sudo, but you can sudo and you can scroll down, page up, page down, and you can see there is a group root, and you can of course do something like wheel and uncomment it, like for example this way and this, because you need to uncomment this and uncomment this additionally to be able to proceed to switch to sudo or perform commands with sudo without the password. So if we will do this, and after that we will user mode and ag wheel, and in my case it will be username, it will add a group wheel to my username, but I don't want to do that. And you can see I don't have this group, so user mode ag, right, and will be the wheel group and the Adrian group and Adrian, and now I'm in the wheel group, so I have a root privileges. If I will log out from this and I will go back sudo I, for example, it will ask for the password, but because it is currently, it remembers the settings, but when I will reboot the server, it should go actually, or eventually I can restart the session, the daemon, if I can try to do that. Okay, let me check systemctl daemon reload, something like that, and systemctl, because I changed the configuration, restart SSHD service, and let me check this, sudo long syslog. Okay, let me messages. Okay, so you can see I can do that, and sudo I. Excellent, because I reloaded the daemon with systemctl command, it loaded the change, and I'm able to use the sudo. Excellent. So the next step, what we need to do, we usually add an address from a specific IP address or eventually range by doing something like this. And let me check. Something like that. VM etc hosts 3. And here you can do something like adding the values into this file, but I will use the echo command. Echo, let me say SSHD, let's say 10.10.0. I don't know, .024, something like that, let's say. And but I don't know where it works. Allow to be honest. PC host allow, right? And if I will cut the etc host allow, it should display this. You can see something like you can provide the range, that's this, or eventually there is an explanation how to make it work and how to add values like SSRCDR or IP address here and the mask. So I think that we should something like this instead. 255, yeah, exactly, 255, 255. This is the mask, and that's all. And yeah, this is correct. This is the whole subnet. And what I will do, I will just edit etc allow, and I will G, and I will delete this entry. And if I will go here and we'll go to the KVM camo, it should allow me to log in once again, but to edit the host and change the default port 1337. Okay, and now start over, and I should be able to log in. Excellent. So this is what you can do. You can just add proper IP address to this, to the host, like using the echo command, sudo I, something like that, and it should be pasted here actually. Something v etc host allow, and you can see something like that. And but what I did wrongly should be something like that, right? And it should be allow, and without this quote, actually I think this is the problem. I guess so. Yeah, this is how it should look like exactly. I will delete this entry. Why? I suppose I did something. Let me check this. This maybe this way to work. I don't know. Let me check this. Okay. And now it's correct. So we can add the IP address, or you can add the whole subnet like 10.1.0.0 552552550, for example. Just because this is a subnet 24, if I remember correctly, yeah. And run it this way, and if you will do this, you can see the subnet is added. So the same way you can do for each subnet, you need to allow the connection. And I will cut the etc host deny, that you can see this is all. And I'm wondering, it should be something like echo SSHD and something like that. All deny to etc hosts deny. Right, cut etc hosts deny. and you can see SSHD all deny and for this service. So I'm wondering, I will disconnect from this, try to connect to the Kimoka form. It should allow me to log in because I'm already in this IP address, in this IP range, so I'm allowed. But no one else who is outside this subnet, no one will be able to log into the server. This is something very good. What we need to do, you also should check the bash version. Let me check this and double hyphen. Okay, GNU bash version 4.4.23. So it's okay. And you need to check if your bash version updated and patched against the commonly known exploits like I don't know, shell shock or 0 day, something like that. You should also make sure your machine are well protected against viruses and are not public use, right? Especially if you are using a Windows client to access the server through the SSH. So you should remember to change passwords regularly in these windows and store them in a secure location like a password manager. This is a crucial step. And the last step, of course, is an SSH encryption using public-private keys. So what you should do is generate a key for this machine and use only the key. So let me check grep. Of course, I'm using the arrow, but it's a much more convenient way. History grep, right? And you can see something like that. And if I will do 42 exclamation mark 42, for example, it will use this, and I can use the arrow, right? And I can use the exclamation mark 40 and use the tab. So this is something like that. And let me see, passwords, permit empty password, no. And you can, of course, do SSHD. You can check this permit login, authorized keys, something like that. And permit empty password, you can enable this. Password authentication, you can change to no. Of course, when you will generate the RSA keys, so this is good. Insert, ignore hosts, yes. And let me check. Okay, pattern not found. That's interesting. Let me think about it, because there should be something like RSA key, but I don't know. Permit login authentication. Let me check slowly. Yeah, public authentication. Yeah, so we can use this, much more convenient. And now can do this. And before you will reload the SSHD, you need to generate the key. So we will generate the key 4096 bits. Okay, generate RSA key. And after that, when you will generate it, you can use SSH keygen. For example, if you want to generate it in Linux, I will show you the command in a moment. Okay, let me check this. Something like SSH keygen, right? And -T, so you can choose the key type, for example, RSA, and then you can change the bits, so usually 496, right? And you can choose the file what should be saved, so it will be something like this, the directory SSH, and let's say ID, I don't know, RSA, KVM, something like that. And of course you can use the pattern like dollar symbol and the date plus, and now %year, because we need to year, hyphen %month, hyphen %day, and something like that. Generating blah blah blah. You can also provide the passphrase and excellent. And if you will go to cd, print the current directory LH, and you can see there is a directory SSH, so cd SSH, and list it, and you can see we have a key. It's the same. Okay, so we have two keys, and one is a public, the second one is a private. So this is the way you can generate it in the directory. However, I recommend you to, if you want to log into this server, so we need to create an authorized keys and provide the key already generated. Something like that. And save the public key, and what I need to do is just to save the public key. Just give me 1 second. Okay. And you need to copy your public key to this, to change it, and then we need to mode 600 to authorized keys, right? For example, this is my key. Of course, this is an example, but I will change it later. So what you need to do next, you need to input it. I'm going to do this because I'm using a terminal, so I will do this. I will edit the key KFOM. I will go to keys. I will add a new. I will check. We'll use the drag drop option. So something like that. And drag drop, and now I need to put the public key also. The same I already did it. I already copied into the authorized keys file. Exactly. So it will be this key. This is the public key and a passphrase. Okay, and save it. And now go back to this step and delete the password. It will save automatically. And then what we need to do, because just to be sure, and we will do this system ctl daemon reload. Then system ctl restart SSHD service. And now we should be able to log in with the key. So let me check this. It's asking for the password. That is strange. Okay, I did something wrong. Vim etc sshd. Let me check. No, password authentication known. Permit update. That is strange. Yes, spam. No. Okay. Password. Yes, this is okay. This is okay. Let me check. Okay. Let me check this once again, and I will try to log into this KVM. Now it's failed. Okay. So BI. Yes, spam inside. Yes, but it should allow me to log in. Let, what is going on here? Okay, let me check this and this and this. Asking for the password. But why? Question is. Checking for missing server keys in etc SSH. I know what is going on. Okay. And copy SSH. And then sudo and cd SSH. And I will authorize the keys to home Adrian and SSH directory and cd home Adrian RH and okay mount 700 to SSH cd home and recursively to the SSH directory cd h so it should be something like that. And if I will log in now, I should be able to log into Kimo using the keys without asking for a password, and now it's excellent. So that was the reason, because it was trying to log in as user root, I mean as user Adrian, but I had unauthorized keys inside the root directory inside the SSH directory. So what I did, I moved those, I moved the file into the home Adrian directory. I created the SSH directory and changed the permissions to the directory. So if I will go pw and lsolh, so you can see there's rwx only for the user. There is nothing for groups and others, and that's excellent. And cd ssh and lsolh, it means that there is only rw for the user without authorized keys. So those permissions are necessary to set it. You need to set it correctly to be able to log in with the RSA keys, and now you can log it without the password, and that's an excellent approach. So I also disabled the empty password. I already presented it, and you can also do something like this. Let me check. cd h, and there is a bash rc command. So vm bash rc configuration file. So if you will do this, and you will put this, exactly this, I will show you in a moment, something like this here, like the function generate password at local $1 and $l equals and 20, and you can use the urandom to generate random password AZA, so big AZ, small AZ, 09 and special. Okay, so after that, when you will do this and you will type the command Genpass something like 16, for example, Genpasswd. Okay, I think I need to log out that link, KVM, and should connect now. And Genpasswd and 16, now it will generate the random password. This is good if you want to generate random password, for example, for RSA keys or for something else. not a big deal. So if you random 20, it's to random 20. You can of course complicate it more to add special digits or symbols, something like let me check this. And if I will do 809 and something like exclamation mark, this insert and exclamation mark, something like this, but I don't know will it work, or maybe only some of those. You can see the command is dollar, maybe not, percent, something like those, that which displays as something like this. We will check this and will it work? And if you will log out and log in once again, you should be able to, you can see you have a special digits inside. For example, GD4 and okay, well, once again. Not all the time, but it generates special symbols. So for example, here, something like that, right? One special symbol and you're 25. And it's longer. And you can see you have here the special symbol. So very good idea to make it work this way, or if you want to complicate it more, so you can try something like, I will try this, hyphen, track, will it work? I think I will log out and in again, and here we go. Something, okay, range and points. Okay, this is the wrong. So what you actually do is just like that, right? Percent, simple, star. I can even use something like that, but I don't know it work. Maybe those two. I don't. Those two. No. So I think those will work efficiently, and this is enough. And if you will log out and log in again, it should work. The way it will always generate the password with one special symbol inside, at least. Or eventually you can do something else, like you can do the same here, like this one, this one, this one, and this one, for example, in the beginning. And log out, log in once again, and it should generate the special symbol in the beginning, in the middle, so you will have two special symbols, one here and one here. So once again, right, this way, one special is here, and there is only one, but sometimes it generates one, and sometimes it generates two. You can see 2% like this, and here you have a, so it all depends on the random u random, right? And this u random generates it. So I already recommended to use some kind of passwords like that and remember them in the password manager. What next? I think that you can of course use something like fail to ban. I already provided it to thwart SSH crackers and brute force attacks. So you can install the fail to ban. You can write limit incoming traffic at TC port if you need to. You can also use port knocking or configure idle log out time interval, for example, something like this. So I in etc sshd, and let me check client, and here you can client alive interval, let's say 300, and client alive count max is 0 and home, something like that. You can also ignore errors. You can delete this. No. Here we go. Host private authentication. Paste. Yeah. This one. What next? You can also use the algorithm from Mozilla if you wish, and you can add them inside the directory. Let me check this. There should be something like this, and you can use this, RSA key, SSD, and ND. And you can use something like this. I guess. Yeah, this way. And of course, like that, and logging, log level, instead of info 12 rows, and this log facility. And let me check subsystem. Yeah, we have something like SFTP. If you want to log SFTP server, you can check this userlib SSH SFTP server. But you can change this value something like this way. Userlib SSH SFTP server, and f out brief, and the log level info. Right, this is the way you can do. And of course, yeah, we start HD service, and you can check, can you log in once again using the SSH? You can. Excellent. And also, if you want to check the ciphers, I mean, you want to grab a list of cipher and allocs supported by your OpenSSH server using the following command. So this one, sshq cipher, should display you the ciphers you can use, and cipher authentication, those three, and of course q. Mac, right, and X should display this, and the last one is the key, so this is it. So this way you can check all those things, and at the end you should perform the command sshd -t to check is everything fine, or you can use the extended test mode that exactly displays all those values inside the key inside this file SSHD. etc SSHD, right? So it's using exactly this, right? And this is it actually. This is the whole configuration. You can of course use max out tries. Let's say you can change this value to 3 at least. You can max session, you can change the max session that max sessions at 3, and there will be no login grace time. So how much time the user can be logged in, and after that it will be logged out. This is also something strict mode. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. This is also good. And mostly those settings are fine. And that is all. And system ctl reload and system ctl hd service. And we'll log off. And we'll log in again, and now I am able to log into the system, and the system is fully configured with SSH, so this is it actually. And what else? I don't know. I think that is all. And this is the whole configuration for the SSH actually. So this is a very good idea how to make it work. I'm wondering, is there anything else I can give you? Let me see, sudo ibdc sshd config, and you can disable the x11 forwarding. Let's check x11, and this one you can disable this. The display server on the client might have a higher exposure to be attacked with x11 traffic forwarded. If forwarding of x11 traffic is not needed, then disable it. So we can actually disable this. And why disabling x11 forwarding matters? The x11 protocol was never built with security in mind, as it opens up channel back to the client. The server could send malicious commands back to the client to protect clients. You should disable x11 forwarding when it is not needed. Of course, why I disabled also the error host with this option ignore error host. While not common anymore, our host was a weak method to authenticate systems, right? And what it does, it defines a way to trust another system simply by its IP address. And by default, the use of air hosts is already disabled. But you should make sure to check if it really is. And what is interesting, by default, the SSH server can check if the client connecting maps back to the same combination of hostname and IP address. Use the option use DNS to perform the basic check. So let me do this and use DNS, and here I can change this to yes. And what else? Max out price, it's 3, that is correct. So this is a maximum authentication attempts. Just it's protecting you against the brute force attacks on the password of a user, and limit the number of attempts. It limits it to 3 in this case, and this can be done with this option, with this setting, right? And what you should do, you should also enable monitoring for authentication failures, which start at the half the number of maximum attempts. Use these authentication failures together with your SIEM solution, right? Or forward them to your security administrator. The SSH server can be configured to be used together with PAM or pluggable authentication modules. And by using a set of rules, part of the authentication stack, the number of failed logins can be used to block a particular user. And another option is to define a period to lock the account when this number of attempts has been reached. This way, the server can defend better against the brute force attempt to crack a user account and its passwords, of course. So you need to remember, when limiting the maximum authentication attempts, you need to be aware that public key authentication, the one we already said, can also eat up your number of attempts. If you want to enforce the SSH client or SCP client to use password-based authentication, use the related options on the command line, and I will show you this. Save this, GL restart D, and what you need to do, if you are connecting from a Linux machine to a server machine, you can use this. Something like this. Preferred authentication password, pubkey authentication no, and you can use something like Adrian at 10.10.0.101 or something else. You are connecting to this. So we can try to, but connection is refused because you need to define the port at 1.37. It should connect. Are you sure? Yes, I want. Permission denied because it's disabled. And that is okay. So if you will provide the section password authentication, yes, you will change it, it will allow you to log in with the password. However, I really recommend, instead of using a normal password-based login, a better way is using public key authentication. And keys are considered much safer and less prone to brute force attacks. So if you will disable this password authentication in etc sshd config, you will force users to use keys instead of password. This is something really good. And what is really good idea, you can also change the protocol beam sshd config. And in the beginning, the G, you can define, let's see, before the port, you can decide the protocol, define the protocol number 2. systemctl start at stage D. If you are running on older system, the version 1 of the SSH protocol might still be available, right? This version has weakness and should no longer be used. And since version 7.0 of OpenSSH protocol 1 is automatically disabled during compiled time. If your version is older than that, enforce the protocol version. Anyway, you can always enforce this protocol version in this configuration. This is something that can be actually done, but you can check the OpenSSH version. So OpenSSH version. That's really interesting. SSH version. HD version. Okay, OpenSSH version 8.4. You can see. So not so really bad, because you can see this version here. So you can be sure that the protocol 2 is enabled by default, actually, during the compile time, right? So you can get over this protocol 2, but it's good to check the version. And after that, if you have a version older than 7.0, you can set this protocol to here, but I will delete it. Okay, and now we'll restart. Okay, check this. Excellent. And what else? You can also use something like hash known hosts, because each time the SSH client connects to the server, it will store a related signature, a key of the server, right? And this information is stored in a file with the name known hosts. And the known hosts file itself is available in the SSH subdirectory. So if I will go back to my username and I will go to SSH directory and I will list it. So you should see known hosts here, but there is no known hosts. So if you are connecting from the server to the from this server to another server, or from the client on a Linux to another server, there is a known host file, right? And inside of this, you can actually define the signature, right? So in the case the signature of the server changed, SSH will protect the user by notifying you about the change. This option is useful but also has a risk. Previously it was common to store the hostname related to the specific host key, and this made it easy for worms and other malicious scripts to use this information and spread to other systems. Once they had a single system compromised, so to counter this, the hash known host will hash each host, so it is not readable anymore. While being unreadable for the human eye, it still allows SSH, right, to check for the next time you connect the same system and ask the results in the same hash. So let's say you're connecting from this machine to another Linux machine or Unix, and it will create automatically known host file inside this SSH directory, and it will also save the hash, just because it is working this way. And it will ask you, do you want to add a server to this known host file, right, to this list? And you need to type yes and hit enter, and then it automatically generates the hash. So each time, let's say someone changed the hash in your server or in the server to which you are connecting to. The SSH makes a comparison between those two hashes, and if they are different, then it says the hash changed and there's something wrong, that it might be because of the attack or a worm or a malicious software, something like that. And the system is compromised, and you know that. This is really good. So that is all, I think. What else? You can also remember something about the security, because your passwords, I mean those one you're using to protect the RSA keys, should be unique. Each time you generate the RSA key, you should use unique password that is protecting the unique passcode, right, for RSA key. And thanks this, you will be able to minimize the risk, because if someone will, let's say, I don't know, find out the hash, it will be able to use a hashcat or another service to find out what the password is. Then if you are using unique password for each RSA key, only one system will be compromised at all. This is a crucial information. So please use password generators, and thanks to this you will be able to achieve the proper security level. Okay, so this is it actually, and I hope you will enjoy this because this is very, 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 very important thing that you need to do. And what is really good to know, and I think you should use password generator, but locally. In my opinion, it's the safest way, like Genpasswd or Genpass on your computer, and eventually you can protect your database that contains a list of hosts, passwords, and usernames with a YubiKey. Show something like this. Something like this. Exactly. This is a YubiKey, and you can you can find the information in the Google actually, or Bing, or DuckDuckGo, what you wish, and how to protect the database with this YubiKey. I'm protecting it also with the YubiKey, so even if, let's say we have a scenario, right, that you want to share the database between 2 or 3 laptops, or your smartphone, for example, and you want to use it. So it, of course, it has NFC. This is the model with NFC, so I can touch it and I can close this to the phone, so I enable the NFC in my phone. And let's say I uploaded the database to a Google Drive or Dropbox, something else, and then I downloaded it to the next device. So even if someone will break into your, let's say, Google account and will download the database from the Google Drive or Dropbox, for example, or another service, right? Without this, the hacker will not be able to get into the database, because it's additionally protected with this device. And even if he will be able to ask a password for the database, this is an additional step that protects, because after you type the password for the database, it asks, okay, put your YubiKey into the USB port and touch it. And thanks to this, it protects additionally the database. So I really recommend to use it as a two-factor authentication in your password manager. This is a very, very good idea. And also you should use this to protect your Google account and other accounts. For example, Dropbox, they have a possibility to add a YubiKey. And what I really recommend is to have two. I have the second one in my box somewhere over here. This is the second one. I will present it in a moment. This one. Yes. Okay. So with the YubiKey 5 NFC, and you need to add two keys into your account. Disable all other possibilities like, I don't know, text message, email, or something else, and leave only YubiKey, two YubiKeys as two-factor authentication devices. And thanks to this, no one will be able to get into your account. And even if you lost the one, you have the second in your home, and nothing to worry, because you go back home, you're using the second key to log in into the service. Then you can, of course, disable and delete the lost YubiKey. Then you need to buy a new one and add it later as a secondary YubiKey device, just in case if you are going to lost it once again. But yes, it happens sometimes. So this hole is very good inside. You can see this. We'll try to close it to the camera, so you can put it into. You can put together with your keys. But you know, it happens sometimes that we lose keys to our home, so that is why. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed. I know this is a very long video about the SSH, and you can see one service is complicated. So if you want to know each service in the Linux, you need to find out how each is working, what it is doing. So it is not a very complicated, but it's good to know each service. It's good to know what you can do, how to configure it. And it, of course, takes time to learn everything. And I really recommend you to learn Linux, because it's something that is in use by developers. So by people who write the code, who write tests for, I don't know, Jenkins, for example. And it doesn't matter in which language you're coding, actually. So you're using it because, let's say, companies are using Git, GitLab, GitHub, or another Gerrit, right, to store repositories, to store the code. And thanks that you have a version control system. And mostly they are on the Linux machines. Most of, I don't know, Docker, Kubernetes containers, they are working on Linux machines. And it is good to learn at least some basics of Linux, because if you are going to be a developer or a tester, or I don't know, even a manager or someone from the team, I don't know, a Scrum Master maybe, it is good to know some basic Linux commands and how the system works. Just because it's, you know, it can sometimes happen that someone will ask you about some very basic thing, and you will be able to answer, or eventually look for the information quickly and provide the answer. Here you have this is the way you can do it. But of course, you can, if you don't know the Linux and you're the manager or someone in the team, like a Scrum Master, for example, and you don't know the Linux, right? So you can always ask your employer to make a training about the Linux basis, how the system is working, what it is doing, the approach of the system, where it is in use, etc., etc. So this is something that I really, I think I can recommend. And what else? Most of the servers, right, in the world that are running are using Linux servers. Of course, there are some Windows machines, Windows servers, but like, I don't know, those that are running with Active Directory, some services are running on them, but mostly services like, I don't know, Stack Overflow, GitHub, GitLab, etc. They are running on Linux servers. Those Google's clouds, on Amazon Web Services, all of them are using mostly Linux servers or eventually Unix servers. So really, really, really learn Linux. And as you can see on my screen, I will just try to move it a little bit. Like that. You can see Linux may work. So yeah, this is really may work, because if you will break something, it will not work correctly. But that is why we have system administrators like me who are able to perform troubleshooting, find out the issue and the reason, and fix the problem on the server. Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice day or night. Bye bye. Take care.